After years of waiting, sending messages, proving their strength and peace, humanity had earned its place among the stars. The people of Earth were excited. For the first time, they were part of something bigger, something beyond their small blue planet. The Galactic Union had hundreds of powerful alien races. They promised peace, protection, and progress. Earth believed them, but the galaxy lied. Only 2 years after joining, something terrible happened. A strange and deadly alien race appeared in deep space. No one had seen them before. They called themselves the Varnak. The Varnak didn't talk. They didn't ask questions. They only attacked fast, brutal, and without warning. They destroyed an entire human colony on the edge of space. Over 2 million people vanished in one night. Humanity was shocked, but they were not afraid. They called for help. According to the Union Treaty, any member attacked by an outside force would receive full support from the other members. Earth sent a request to the Galactic Council. They waited, no reply. Another colony fell. Human leaders sent more messages, louder, stronger, more desperate. Still, silence. Then, finally, an answer came. It wasn't what they expected. This war is not ours. Earth's position is too far, too weak. We recommend surrender. The words burned, betrayal, cold and clear. The Galactic Union had turned its back. Every race, some that promised friendship, some that shook hands in peace, abandoned them. On Earth, panic spread. People cried. Leaders fought. Some said to beg for mercy, some said to run up. But then, in a quiet war room deep under Earth's surface, one man stood. General Elias Rabis, commander of Earth's defense forces, looked at the message. He looked at the maps of fallen colonies. He looked at the faces of soldiers ready to die. He said 4 words that changed everything. Then we fight alone. No speeches, no debates, no more waiting. Earth began to move. Satellites reactivated. Old weapons were pulled from storage. Engineers worked day and night. Factories turned into war machines. Humanity didn't have much. Only 12 warships were ready for battle. Most of them were old. Some were even built during the Mars expansion crisis. Their armor was thin. Their weapons were limited. Their AI was outdated. But the humans had something the galaxy didn't understand. Well, they refused to die quietly. 12 ships left Earth. They flew through the black, empty space toward the next target, the Varnak fleet near Jupiter's orbit. Everyone expected them to lose. Even some humans believed this was a suicide mission. But not General Reeves, and not Captain Sarah Lynn, the youngest warship leader in Earth's fleet. She had never faced a real battle before, but she stood straight, her voice steady. We don't run, we don't beg, we fight. As the human ships approached, Varnak warships appeared, giant monsters of metal, shaped like blades, glowing with dark energy. There were over 5,000 of them. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, but they kept flying at command. Reeves watched in silence. Around him, officers whispered prayers. Some cried quietly. Some held pictures of families they might never see again. The battle began. Varnak ships fired first. Lasers cut through space. One human ship exploded instantly. But something unexpected happened. The second human ship dodged, then fired back 3 torpedoes, fast and precise. One Varnak cruiser exploded. The control room on Earth gasped. How did they do that? One officer said. Reeves smiled. Because we trained for this. Because we never stopped preparing. The battle lasted only 13 minutes. 7 human ships were lost, but 28 Varnak warships were destroyed. The rest pulled back. The galaxy was silent. No one expected humans to win anything. No one believed they could even stand. But they did more than stand. They made the enemy bleed. And for the first time, the galaxy realized something terrifying. Humanity would not go quietly, As the broken human fleet returned to Earth, people ran into the streets. They cheered. They cried. The message was clear. Even if every race abandons them, even if the sky turns dark, even if the stars fall, humanity will fight. And they will not fight alone forever. Because somewhere in the shadows of deep space, other eyes watched, other voices whispered, maybe the humans are worth saving. Mars was burning. The red planet, once a symbol of human dreams and progress, had become a battlefield. Firestorms raged across its surface. Human defense towers fired blindly into the sky. Civilians screamed and ran as the Varnock ships descended. Like shadows from hell, the Union had betrayed Earth. No help came, no support. Humanity had only itself now. But even with smoke filling the air, and enemy warships falling like meteors, the humans refused to give up. At the center of it all stood General Elias Reeves, watching the battle from the Mars command base. His eyes were tired. His voice was calm. "This is where we hold the line," he said. Mars was Earth's final shield. If Mars fell, Earth was next. All human warships had been recalled. Broken ones were repaired in hours. Drones were armed and launched. Civilians were evacuated into underground bunkers. Soldiers who had never fired a weapon were given rifles and sent to the walls. No one was ready, but everyone was willing. Among those soldiers was Private Aaron Hale, a 19-year-old farm boy from New Texas. He had never left Earth before. Now, he stood on Mars in a steel bunker, holding a plasma rifle with shaking hands. Beside him, Captain Zara Gray, a battle-hardened officer, watched the skies. "You scared, kid?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am," Aaron replied honestly. "Good," she said. "Means you'll stay alive." Above them, alarms screamed. The Varnak had landed troops. The ground shook. Creatures taller than tanks, with sharp limbs and glowing eyes, tore through human lines. They moved fast. They killed faster. Human guns barely slowed them down. Still, the soldiers held their ground. Explosions lit up the horizon. Bodies fell. But for every human that died, another took their place. Inside the command center, Reeves received message after message. "Sector 4 is lost. We need reinforcements at Gate 7. Our cannons are out." But Reeves didn't panic. He pointed at the battle map. He gave orders. "Send drones to the west wall. Bring up the reserve tanks. Tell Captain Lin to prepare the orbital strike." Far above Mars, in Earth's orbit, Captain Sarah Lin waited aboard the EDF Valiant, one of the last working warships. Her ship was damaged. Her weapons were low, but her spirit was unbroken. The Varnock fleet had surrounded Mars. Dozens of ships, all ready to crush the last human stronghold. Sarah looked at her crew. "We may not come back from this," she said, "but we will make them remember who we are." The Valiant dropped into Mars orbit and began firing. Massive beams of light tore through the Varnock cruisers. Human ground troops cheered as the enemy ships exploded above them. The tide of the battle began to change. On the ground, Aaron and Captain Gray pushed forward. Side by side, they fought through rubble and smoke. Aaron's shots became more accurate. His fear became focus. In the distance, one of the last human railguns fired. A glowing spear of energy shot through the sky and pierced the Varnock command ship. The alien fleet started to retreat. In just 24 hours, Mars had almost fallen. And yet, it stood, bruised, bleeding, but alive. General Reeves looked out at the battlefield, now silent and filled with smoke. He turned to his officers. "We lost half our forces, but we saved the planet. At what cost?" Someone asked. Reeves paused. "At the cost of reminding the galaxy humanity does not break." As news of the victory spread, whispers echoed across the stars. The Varnak had tasted defeat for the first time. By humans, the Galactic Union stayed silent, but small voices began to rise. Hidden races, exiles, old enemies of the Union. They started to listen. Maybe Earth wasn't alone. Maybe humanity was the fire they had all forgotten. Private Aaron Hale sat on a hill near the battlefield. He looked at the stars with tired eyes. "I didn't think we could win," he said. Captain Gray sat beside him, cleaning her weapon. "That's why we did," she said. Far above them, the Valiant blinked its signal lights 3 short flashes, Earth's sign of survival. The battle for Mars had ended, but the war was far from over. Humanity had won. Barely half the soldiers were gone. Warships were broken. Cities were in ruins. Earth knew the Varnak would return, and next time, they would bring more fire. In the shadows of deep space, beyond the edge of known maps, someone was watching. Not everyone had ignored Earth's call for help. Not everyone had forgotten the price of betrayal. Far away, hidden inside a dead moon, a silent ship powered up. For centuries, the crew had remained hidden, waiting, watching. Now, their sensors had picked up something new. Human victory, the first in thousands of years. Inside the ship stood a tall figure with silver skin and glowing eyes. His name was Velek, the last commander of the Thalkar. An ancient race once proud, now forgotten. The Thalkar had once been part of the Galactic Union. They had been betrayed just like Earth. Their cities were burned, their people scattered. The Union erased their name from records, hoping history would forget them. But the Thalkar did not forget. They remembered everything, and now, for the first time in ages, they saw hope in humans. Velek turned to his crew. "Send a message to Earth," he said. "They may not know us, but they will understand." Back on Earth, in a dark room beneath the United Nations building, General Elias Reeves received a strange signal. It came through a hidden frequency no one had used in over 500 years. The voice was deep, calm, alien. "This is Commander Velek of the Thalkar. We once believed in unity, and were destroyed. Now, we believe in something else. Truth. You are not alone." Reeves leaned forward. "Is this a trick?" he asked. But the signal came with proof. A data packet. Images of old battles. Union war crimes. Names of leaders who betrayed Earth and others long ago. The truth was worse than Reeves imagined. The Union never wanted peace. They only wanted control. And when a race refused to kneel, they erased it, just like they tried with the Thalkar. Just like they were trying with Earth. Reeves called his top officers. "We've found someone who hates the Union more than us," he said. "And they want to help." 3 days later, in a quiet space zone near Pluto, a strange ship appeared. It didn't ask for permission. It didn't send warnings. It simply landed. Captain Sarah Lynn was the first to board it. With her team beside her, weapons ready, she stepped into a glowing hallway. Everything looked old, yet alive. There, she saw Velek. He bowed his head slightly. "You fight like warriors," he said, "and die like legends. The Union fears that." Sarah raised her weapon. "Why help us now?" "Because you are the last fire," Velek replied, "and fire spreads." Velek shared his knowledge with Earth's leaders. Blueprints of ancient technology, maps of forgotten systems, hidden bases, buried weapons, lost allies. Among these secrets was something called the Phoenix Protocol, a last resort plan built during the Thalkar's final days. It was powerful, too powerful, a weapon that could burn entire fleets. "We never used it," Velek said. "We were too afraid. But you humans, you do not fear death. You might succeed where we failed." General Reeves stared at the data. "Then let's wake the Phoenix." Across Earth and Mars, engineers worked night and day. Pieces of old Thalkar tech were combined with human machines. New weapons were built fast, smart, deadly. Even Earth's AAs were updated with alien code. Ships could now think faster, aim better, and fly like ghosts. For the first time, humanity didn't just play catch-up. They were ahead. Meanwhile, in Union space, the Council met in secret. Angry, Afraid? How did the humans survive? How did they destroy so many Varnock ships? Who helped them? They didn't have answers, only fear. And fear leads to mistakes. The Union sent spies. They sent threats. They even tried to bribe Earth's leaders. None of it worked. Reeves sent back one simple message. You left us to die. Now we know who you are, and we're not alone. Back in space, near the asteroid belt, the first test of the Phoenix Protocol began. One old human ship, rebuilt with Thalkar tech, faced 5 captured Union drones. The drones attacked. The human ship vanished, then reappeared behind them. In 1 second, it fired. All 5 drones exploded. Captain Sarah Lynn watched from the Valiant. It works, she whispered. It really works. Humanity was no longer the weak race begging for help. They were becoming something new. Something the galaxy hadn't seen in a long time. A force with nothing to lose, and everything to fight for. And somewhere, in a dark part of space, another forgotten race received Earth's signal. They smiled. The humans have lit the fire. Let's see who joins the blaze. Space was silent, but not for long. The humans had awakened something powerful, something the galaxy had forgotten. Hope mixed with rage. With the help of the Thalkar, Earth now had weapons unlike anything seen before. For the first time, they were ready not just to defend, they were ready to strike back. General Elias Reeves stood in Earth's command center, looking at a large map of space. Red marks showed Varnock outposts. Yellow marks showed Union supply lines. One mark blinked brightly. It was their next target. It's time we show them what humanity can do, Reeves said. Across the planet, ships prepared for war. New engines roared. Human scientists combined Earth's tech with Thalkar energy cores. The results were fast, smart, and deadly. These ships were called Ghost-class destroyers. They could cloak in the void, bend radar, and strike before anyone even saw them. Captain Sarah Lynn, now leader of the 1st Ghost Squadron, walked across the deck of her new ship, the EDF Revenant. It was dark, quiet, and filled with blue glowing lines, alien energy flowing through human steel. Her mission was simple. Find the Varnock supply base, destroy it, leave no trace. But this wasn't about revenge. This was about sending a message. The fleet launched. 12 Ghost-class ships slipped into the dark, vanishing like shadows. No Union scanner could detect them. Even the Varnock ships nearby didn't see them pass as they entered enemy space. Sarah received the target coordinates: an asteroid field near the old mining colonies. It looked like empty rock from the outside, but deep inside those asteroids was a Varnock supply base: fuel, weapons, and food for thousands of troops. Without it, the enemy would starve. The Revenant slowed down. Sarah spoke quietly to her crew. No mistakes. No mistakes. Fire and vanish. The first shot came from above. A silent beam of light cut through the rock. One by one, the enemy turrets exploded. Alarms screamed. Varnock warriors ran in panic, but they couldn't find the enemy. They fired wildly into the sky, but the humans were already behind them. Captain Lynn gave the next order. Launch Phoenix torpedoes. The torpedoes weren't like old human missiles. These ones didn't chase targets, they bent around obstacles, learned from mistakes, and exploded with blue fire that burned even through shields. The entire asteroid base shook. A massive fuel tank blew apart, taking half the station with it. Sarah watched from the bridge. Target neutralized, her officer said. Then let's disappear, she replied. By the time the Varnock fleet arrived, it was already over. Only smoke and fire remained, and a single human message. Left behind on a repeating signal. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. Back on Earth, the victory was celebrated but quietly. General Reeves knew this was just the beginning. Hitting one base wouldn't win the war, but it would change the game, for the first time. The Varnock were afraid, and fear spreads fast. Across the galaxy, Union leaders panicked. Their powerful fleets had never been challenged. Now, one small human squad had taken out a full supply base and vanished without losing a single ship. Union spies tried to learn how, but they couldn't understand the new tech. It wasn't just advanced, it was different, alien, alive, and worse. More races were starting to notice. In hidden corners of space, old powers began to whisper again. The Drex, long thought extinct. The Niven, once hunted into silence. The who had escaped Union slavery centuries ago. They all saw Earth's fire, and they remembered their own pain. Maybe, one Torgan elder said, the humans will finish what we never could. Back on Mars, soldiers trained day and night. Young fighters like Private Aaron Hale, now a survivor of the Mars defense, were turning into leaders. He taught new recruits how to fight, how to shoot, and how to never give up. If you're scared, he told them, good, use it. Meanwhile, the Thalkar moved deeper into Earth's systems. They helped build new stations. They trained engineers. They even activated an old space gate near Saturna, secret path into deeper Union territory. Looked at the map again. More red targets, more chances to strike. But something new appeared, something he didn't expect. A strange signal from deep space. Encrypted. Not Thalkar, not Union, not VAR, NOK. Unknown, but clear. We saw what you did, and we are listening. Reeves stared at the message. Who are you? He asked, but the signal ended. Sarah Lynn received the same message. She smiled. Looks like we're not just fighting back. We're waking the galaxy. In the dark, cold silence of space, human fire had begun to spread. Not just with weapons, but with hope, and the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The galaxy was changing. For thousands of years, the Galactic Union had ruled with power, fear, and silence. They controlled the news, erased history, and buried the stories of those they crushed. Many believed they were too strong, too big, too impossible to fight. But then came Earth, a small blue planet, abandoned, betrayed, and no rising. The fire of resistance, lit by humanity, was spreading, and others were beginning to notice. Others who had been forgotten, others who had been broken, but not destroyed. They were called the Outcasts. In the shadow systems, beyond Union space, the Torgans lived in hiding. Once a proud warrior race, they were enslaved by the Union centuries ago. Their homeworld was turned into a mining planet. Their warriors were forced into gladiator pits. The Union called them beasts, but the Torgans remembered who they were, and when they saw the signal, the one from Earth after the Varnak base was destroyed, they listened closely. The words echoed through their deep caves. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. The Torgan leader, a massive female named Kurza, stood before her people. The humans do not kneel, she said. Why should we? At the same time, far across the stars, the Niven collective stirred. The Niven were once scientists, builders, dreamers. But the Union feared their intelligence. They attacked their cities, stole their machines, and hunted their leaders out. Now, only a few hundred Niven remain living aboard old stations in dead space. When Earth's message reached them, their eyes lit up. They built weapons from hope, said Elder Kale, the last great Niven engineer. We must help them build more. Back on Earth, General Reeves stood before a hologram of new allies. The Thalkar, the Torgans, the Niven, and others. Too small. Groups, scattered ships, refugees, broken fleets. All once abandoned. All now returning. He spoke slowly, clearly. We are not asking you to serve us. We are asking you to fight with us. A long silence followed. Then Kurza grinned. Let the Union hear our roar. Across Mars and Earth, new camps were built. Not for prisoners, but for partners. Humans trained beside Torgan warriors. Niven engineers upgraded Earth's AI systems. Thalkar tech was shared with Niven knowledge. Old ships were repaired. New ones were built in slowly. Something never seen before was taking shape. The Outcast Alliance, not built on politics, not built on fear, but built on pain, trust, and a promise to never be silent again. Private Aaron Hale, now a decorated soldier, stood at the training yard. Beside him was a young Torgan fighter named Rock. They couldn't speak the same language, but they didn't need to. They trained with fire in their eyes and scars on their skin. Aaron handed Rock a human-made rifle. Rock handed Aaron a curved Torgan blade. They both smiled. Enemies had become brothers. In orbit, Captain Sarah Lynn prepared for a new mission. The Union had placed a listening post near the Lyra system, close to a forgotten Niven colony. It was time to take it down. But this time, she wasn't alone. Her fleet had Ghost-class destroyers, Thalkar stealth ships, and even Torgan heavy cruisers with triple armor. When the mission began, the stars shook. The Union never saw them coming. In 5 minutes, the listening post was gone, and the galaxy heard the news. Earth is no longer fighting alone. Inside the Union High Council chamber, fear grew. They are building an army, one council member said. With whom? Another shouted. These are losers. Failures. But deep down, they all knew the truth. The outcasts had nothing left to lose, and that made them dangerous. On a quiet night, under the stars of Mars, Aaron Hale sat beside Rock. They were tired, dirty, and smiling. Never thought I'd see this, Aaron said. Gromor Rock growled, pointing to the sky. Aaron checked his translator. It blinked. Together strong. Aaron nodded. Yeah, together strong. The outcasts had been forgotten for centuries. Now, they marched under one flag, one flame, and the galaxy would never forget them again. The stars above. Earth had never looked more dangerous. The Sol system, home of humanity, was surrounded. The Union had sent everything over 100,000 warships, led by Varnak command fleets, and backed by dozens of Union races who feared Earth's rise. They were not coming to talk. They were coming to erase. Earth's satellites picked up the signal. First, massive enemy ships were approaching Jupiter. Warnings rang across every human colony. This was it, the final stand in the Earth Command Center. General Elias Reeves looked around the room. He saw tired faces. He saw fear, but he also saw fire, the kind that doesn't fade. They want to wipe us out, Reeves said. Let's show them how hard we can fight. Every ship, station, cannon, and drone was activated. Mars, Earth, the Moon, and even Titan joined in. The Outcast Alliance, humans, Torgans, Niven, Thalkar, and others stood together like never before. It wasn't just a defense. It was a message. We are still here. Captain Sarah Lynn stood on the bridge of the EDF Revenant, her ship, now fully upgraded with Thalkar systems and Niven targeting AI. Her orders were clear. Strike the enemy from the shadows. Hit fast. Disappear. Hit again. She looked at her crew. We don't run. We don't beg. We hold Sol. Her voice was calm. Her heart was steel. As the Union fleet entered the system, they formed battle lines across Saturn's orbit. Thousands of warships, glowing with energy, ready to destroy anything in their path. But the humans had planned for this. At Saturn's rings, hidden mines detonated. Hundreds of Union ships exploded instantly. The rest moved forward, angry and confused. That's when Phase 2 began. From behind asteroids and dead moons, Ghost-class destroyers appeared. Small, fast, and nearly invisible, they darted through the enemy lines, targeting supply ships and command vessels. At the same time, giant Torgan warships charged in, shaking with power, roaring with fury. Their thick armor took damage, but they kept moving. Their weapons smashed through Union shields. Niven hacking systems turned off enemy drones. Thalka energy pulses shorted out radar. The Union was powerful, but they were not ready for this kind of war. They had never faced unity like this before. Back on Mars, Private Aaron Hale stood with a mixed squad, humans and Torgans, defending the eastern defense wall. Explosions rocked the ground. A Varnak drop pod landed nearby. Huge armored creatures crawled out, roaring with rage. Aaron shouted, "Hold the line!" Rock, his Torgan brother-in-arms, charged forward, swinging his energy blade with fire in his eyes. Blasters fired. Dust rose. Screams echoed, but the wall held in orbit. Sarah Lynn's ship slipped between enemy cruisers. She locked onto a massive Union command ship, the Vindicator. "Ready the Phoenix torpedo," she ordered. The torpedo launched, silent, invisible, deadly. It struck the Vindicator at its core. The explosion lit up the void, like a sun. Union morale shattered. General Reeves watched from Earth's war room. He saw enemy ships pulling back, reforming lines, unsure of where the next strike would come from. "They're confused," his officer said. "Good," Reeves replied. "Confusion leads to fear, and fear leads to mistakes." But then came the second wave. A Varnak dreadnought, larger than any ship seen before, entered Earth's orbit. Its weapons powered up, targeting the planet directly. Reeves gave the order, "Fire the lunar cannon." From the moon, an ancient human railgun, never used before, fired a shot powered by Thalkar tech. The beam hit the dreadnought's core. It didn't destroy it, but it slowed it down enough for Sarah's fleet to strike it from the side. With help from Niven tech and Torgan fire, the beast finally fell. The system shook, but Earth still stood, as the battle raged for hours. The tide began to shift. Outcasts arrived from hidden systems, old ships, old weapons, but new purpose. They joined the fight not for power, not for glory, but for something more, for freedom. The Union couldn't handle it. They had numbers, but Earth had unity. By the end of the day, over 60% of the Union fleet was gone. The rest, running. In the silence that followed, Earth's forces stood tall, tired, hurt, but unbeaten. Reeves spoke one final message, sent across all frequencies. "This is Earth. We were alone. We were betrayed. But now, we are the spark, and we will not be silenced." The galaxy watched, and for the first time, they believed. The humans had defended their home, and in doing so, they had shown everyone what courage truly looked like. The war was over. The Union had been broken. The Varnak were defeated. Their mighty fleets scattered across space, running like shadows before sunrise, and at the center of it all, standing strong and proud, was Earth. The Sol system had survived the greatest invasion in galactic history. Humanity had not only protected their home, they had inspired a new era, an era no longer ruled by fear, lies, and betrayal. This was the beginning of the age of humanity. Inside Earth's command hall, General Elias Reeves looked out at a crowd of soldiers, engineers, leaders, and outcasts. The room was silent. Everyone was waiting. He stepped forward and spoke in a voice that echoed with pride and pain. "We were left alone. Every friend turned their back. But we stood, we fought, and now we lead." Cheers shook the walls. These were not words of victory. They were words of survival, of rising from ashes. On Mars, rebuilding had already started. Craters were filled. Towers were repaired. Children laughed in the dust once stained by blood. Private Aaron Hale, once a scared young recruit, now trained new soldiers, human, Torgan, and others. He no longer held just a rifle. He held the future. Beside him, Rock, his Torgan brother-in-arms, led strength drills for both species. The bond they had made in war now guided others in peace. "We used to fight to survive," Aaron said. "Now we fight to protect." Above Earth, the space docks were full. Old ships were repaired. New ships were built. Together, Human engineers and Niven scientists created faster engines, smarter weapons, and stronger shields. Even the Thalkar, who had once hidden in silence, now walked freely among humans. They helped teach about the ancient systems that saved Earth. Knowledge that had been lost was now shared. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy had hope. Captain Sarah Lynn stood on the bridge of the EDF Revenant, now called a flagship of the Alliance. Her ship was the first to enter the new deep exploration program. The goal: find forgotten races, rebuild lost worlds, and offer peace where war once lived. She smiled as she looked at her new Kroa mix of humans, Thalkar Niven, and even a Drex navigator. "We used to be alone," she said. "Now we are many." They jumped into hyperspace, not for war, but for peace. Meanwhile, across the stars, the Outcast Alliance began taking shape. The Torgans were given back their homeworld. The Niven reopened their ancient libraries. The Drex, once hunted, now served as protectors of border worlds. And at the center of this alliance was Earth, not as rulers, but as examples. The Galactic Union no longer held power. Some of its former members tried to resist, but they were met not with violence but truth. Human ambassadors shared what had really happened. Entire planets rose in protest. People remembered how the Union had used fear and control. No one wanted the old ways back. A new council was formed, the Council of Free Worlds. Each member, no matter how big or small, had one vote, one voice, one chance. And it was Earth that built the first hall, not in gold, not in marble, but in steel and stone. Built by hands that had once dug trenches. General Reeves, older now, walked alone in a garden on the moon base. He watched the stars. A young officer approached him. "Sir, they're calling it the age of humanity." Reeves smiled. "It's not just about us. It's the age of those who refused to kneel." "What now? Now?" Reeves looked up. "Now we build something better. From the ashes of war, something beautiful grew. Not just ships and cities, but trust between species who once feared each other, between minds who once fought in silence, between voices who now speak together. The galaxy would remember many things: the betrayal, the battles, the screams, but more than that, they would remember the day when one race stood alone and became the light in the dark. This was the age of humanity, not because they conquered, but because they united, and in doing so, they changed everything. Hi, this story is made by a human just for fun. It's not real. All the characters and events are made up. Thanks for watching.